What is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of Not A24, the podcast that takes a look at movies outside of the A24 library, literally 24 minutes at a time. I am Ethan Simmey.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we're getting our samurai on as we talk about Lone Wolf and Cub, Sword of Vengeance.
It is not Lone Wolf and Cub, as I wrote.
It's not. It almost got me there. It's like, wait, no, that's not what it is.
I heard a little stumble in your thought process. I was like, I hope we know what this movie is. The story of a Ronin, i.e. a master class samurai who wanders the countryside of Japan with his small child, having various adventures. This is the final influential movie before watching Gareth Edwards' new film, The Creator, which we're covering next week on the Patreon. So this is exciting. This was called out by him as something that influenced the show or the movie itself. Now I know a lot of screenings of The Creator have already taken place for press, and a lot of people have already seen it. Relatively good on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it debuted with like an 84%. Mm-hmm. I've seen pretty mixed reviews, but I am excited to get to The Creator and talk about that. We've got 22 minutes and 47 seconds to talk about Lone Wolf and Cub, The Sword of Vengeance. This is the 1972 classic samurai film. It is part of the Criterion Collection. It tells the story of Ogami Ito, a wandering assassin for hire who is accompanied by his young son, Daigoro. It is the first in a series of 6 films in the Lone Wolf and Cub series. Did you know that before going into this? Did you know this was number 1 of 6?
I knew it was number 1 of some, but I didn't realize it was 6 movies. That's a lot. So
it's big.
Yeah, that's huge. I'd be curious to hear how the quality of these like is consistent or not. But yeah, I knew it was the first one.
Yeah, I mean, talk about like IP being a modern day sickness. The 70s had it figured out.
They
6 movies, all for this guy. Directed by Kenji Misumi, and it is an adaptation. Oh, sorry. That was for Akira. That's an adaptation. So this movie is intense. It's a lot of executions, Ben. A lot of blood.
This is, I mean, watching this, like, oh, this is where Tarantino got these.
Yeah,
blood kills.
It's all Kill Bill, man.
It is all Kill Bill. It is bright red blood. It is just like a stab and then just like streams and streams of blood. It is like super weird, like kneecaps, getting chopped off at the knees. Like and they kind of come out of nowhere. Like it's like kind of relaxing or just chill for a while. And then suddenly it's just this really weird, brutal fighting. It's like, what? Yeah. Where is this coming from? Like, this is not, doesn't seem like this is what's going on the whole time, but they kick us off with like an intense scene, where it's just like, they set the bar. It's like, oh shit. Okay. Like nothing is off limits. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah. Anything goes. Of course, this is like about an executioner is basically like being disowned. And I think that would be a fascinating job to be an executioner. Do you have what it takes to be an executioner?
Dude, no, like, that would just be insane. Like I'm currently playing a game right now where you get to like, the character gets to make decisions and you can decide like, oh, how do you want them to respond to stuff? And even in a video game, it's like, well, I don't want to be too mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's a fucking video game and I don't want to be rude. So it's just like, there's no way I could do anything like this. Cause even fucking virtually, I'm just like, oh no, this poor person though. I don't want to be mean to them.
Dude, every time I play Fallout, I'm just like, I gotta be good. I gotta be a good part of society. Yeah. I can't really mess this one up.
Exactly.
So I could never ever be an executioner, especially in this like historical China, essentially is like where we're at here. So yeah, this movie is pretty intense. We get a lot of interesting executions that I think are pretty rad. What did you think of the movie as a whole? It's really not that long. I think it's like sub 90 minutes, honestly.
Yeah, it's like 84, I think, something like that. It was tight, it was a tight 84. I thought it took me a sec to adjust to the style, I guess. You know what I mean? Like what we were getting here. It's like, okay, cool. This is very like a theatrical samurai, like very dramatic stabs and just like pauses and all this kind of stuff. It's like, okay, cool. This is the kind of samurai movie that we're dealing with here. I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was good. I'm very curious to see where this influences the creator, like from
Yeah,
what I've
me
seen in the
too.
trailer, he's kind of, has like a child that he's like protecting or whatever. So that all makes sense. But yeah, some of the stuff just like moves really quickly. It's like, okay, I guess that's
Yeah.
logical. Like, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how that makes sense, but I guess it does. I'm just gonna go with it. So overall, I was like, I had a good time, but you kind of just I felt like I needed to let go a little bit of like reality and just like my expectations and just like take the moves.
Yeah, it does move pretty fast in some certain situations. And I think the hardest thing for me, I thought this movie was like fine. I think it's okay. Like
Mhm.
I will never revisit this film. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't really have any interest to watch any of the other five movies that come next in this. I don't have any attachment to like the main characters or the kid, or like I'm not really concerned, to be honest. I think what was the hardest thing for me is like you get this massive information dump right at the beginning. And it's
Hmm.
like, here's like all of these clans, and
Yeah.
here's like all of these people that are on the run, and like this clan doesn't like this one, but this one is at peace with this other one. And it's like, it was way too much information for me. And like,
Yeah.
I would like to think that I have a pretty good critical thinking set of abilities and I can piece together things, but it was a lot, and it was a lot of like trying to figure out who, like which people are fighting which, because it gets brought up very frequently.
Mm.
And you kind of you come around to it, but it's still very like dramatic in terms of like these are the groups who are fighting each other. And there's a
Yeah.
moment in the movie where like he like takes off his shirt and unveils another shirt with like a certain crest on it.
Hmm.
and and it was like, I mean, it was kind of dope, to be honest, and people were like, oh my god, no, like we can't fight that crest. And I was just like,
Yeah.
that's sick, but also like, what the fuck does that crest mean? I'm so
Exactly.
lost. I don't know
Yeah.
where we're at.
Yeah. I just that again, like that's another moment where, when they all show up and it's like, oh, you work for this person, but then there's like this clan. It's just like, I can't keep track of like
Yeah,
who
I don't
is a
know where
part
you're
of
at.
what,
Yeah,
but the tone I'm getting here is that he's done something bad. And so got it. Okay,
yeah,
moving on,
yeah. Totally agree. I think the runtime definitely helps. It did seem. I'm doing a like a Hitchcock film class right now for school, and it did seem very Hitchcockian and like the way that it ended, because most Hitchcock movies are like down to the final seconds, where it's
Mhm.
like we're like, hey, we have like 30 seconds left, and finally everything just got like resolved, or like it
Yeah.
feels like the movie can end. This felt a little similar, where we're like in a massive battle until literally the final 45 seconds of the movie, and then it's like just him walking away, and you're just like, I guess we're going on another adventure. I guess we're just
Yeah.
walking out into the world. Let's do our true cinema moments. So we get three each. I'm gonna go with mine first. My first one is the water fight. I think the water
Mhm.
fight is sick, and all of a sudden this old guy comes out of nowhere, which I thought was really incredible. I thought he was like God for a second. I was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, he's being watched upon by like samurai
Yeah.
God, and then I think it was just a regular guy. um, but he like, it's so funny and it's so campy, but it works in this situation because he's like, oh no, this guy went in the water. Doesn't he know that the executioner is at full strength when he's in the water? He
Yeah.
can do the water, the wave slice. And I was just like, what the fuck? And then like he pulls off this incredible move called the wave slice, and I was like, that was sick. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. He told them watch out for that, and it happened anyway. Yeah. I did love that. He's like, he's at full power. He's at full strength in the
Yeah,
water. It's
he
like,
was
is this like a
full
Pokemon or like
evolution.
what is
Yeah.
going on here? This is really weird, but it was pretty dope. He's pulled that trick before, and it's worked every time. It seems like so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I mentioned it briefly, but really, just like the opening sequence of this movie is absurd. It is crazy. Like we start out with this man carrying a child. What would you say she is, 2 or 3? Like she's
Yeah, like three,
young.
probably
Yeah.
young three. Yeah.
Walking down, and all these people are, knelt over and just like crying and praying and stuff like that. And we learn that she is the leader of this group, I guess. And probably just due to the, lineage and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, but done something and needs to be executed. And our dude shows up. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, so this must be the child where he kills everyone else and they run off. It's like, gotcha. This is the case
Exactly
thing,
what I thought too. I was
right?
like, oh, he's gonna save the kid. Okay, got it.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're gonna do a Batman Begins where it's like, cool, let's not kill the person, let's kill everyone else kind of thing. It's like, all
Uh-huh.
right, sweet, great, I love it. No, he's just fucking like kills the kid, and we like just cut to this red shot. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah,
like
it's fucking dark,
okay,
bro.
anything can happen here. Like there is just like nothing is off the table. If killing a 3-year-old child is like how you're starting your movie, it's like I have no idea what else is coming here at all.
Even Tarantino hasn't gone there quite yet.
Not yet.
That is off
Yeah,
limits so far. Yeah, I agree. That was pretty hardcore way to start the movie. The like walking the path between the fire and the water. If people are watching the video, they can see that's our graphic for the timer. Really sick visual. Like
yeah,
really, really, really pretty cool. My second one is the beheading at the duel. The son or the kid wearing the mirror on his head
yeah.
is elite battle type behavior.
So cool.
And he basically, the executioner Ogami, he ducks and he lets the sun bounce off his son's mirror on his forehead into the other guy's eyes, and then he just beheads him. And we get like a solid 10 seconds where the body is just there with no head, and I was just like, that was really cool.
And also cool because like they give us a little bit of a flashback and show us how he came up with the idea. Like as they were walking down the trail and sees these girls playing the game,
right?
and then the sun reflects off the puddle and it's shining in his eye. And so that's where like, oh, maybe I could use that to my advantage. It's like, this is where he came up with
very
it. Like,
learned samurai.
Genius. Yeah. It's like, okay, that's totally cool. But yeah, that was a great scene. Mine is when I don't even know the context of who the people are, but one guy is trying to hire him to go kill other people, but he's not sure if Ogami is who he says he is. So he tells his 2 friends, he's like, "You come in and attack us,
Yeah,
and if you die, then he is who we think
he
is. Yeah, but if you kill him, then we know he's not him." It's like, dude, that's a shitty way to find out if this person is. But the guy's just like, I'll gladly give up my life to find out if it's him or not. It's like, okay, cool. So he goes in and the guy's trying to hire him and he hands him the money. And he's like, cool, like you can count it. This is what I need you to do. And then the 2 guys come in and Ogami just fucking doesn't move from his kneeling pose, doesn't turn his head, doesn't do anything, just like slices the guy behind his right shoulder and then goes over the left shoulder, stabs that dude just like right in the heart, and then puts his sword away again and just keeps going on with the thing. Is like, that was insane. Like a crazy double blind kill where he's just like, boom, boom. It's like, all right, let's keep going here. It's like, yeah, that's him. That's Ogami. That's the executioner. You found out now. Yeah.
That is high level executioner stuff for sure. And that was what I would expect from an executioner. I think a moment like that for me is where I rule out the possibility of being an executioner, because I could just never be that knowledgeable about like, oh, there's probably 2 guys coming behind me right now. I better execute them on the spot and then let me just like keep eating or keep doing what I'm doing. RIP those 2 guys that are just like, I'm happy to give up my life for you to figure out his identity.
Sounds good to me. Sure, why not?
That's tough, man. That's tough. I don't ever want to be in that situation. Okay, the third for me is during the final battle. We get this big final battle in this village, where basically he's been kind of kept as a prisoner, essentially. And like, there's a lot of people there that are prisoners. This takes place after a highly erotic crossfade sex scene, which I gotta give credit where it's due. I'm always like, more sex in movies. This is good stuff. The crossfades are good.
Tell you what, we're not done talking about this.
Yes, let's go. Okay, good. That is not my pick, but I'm glad we're not done. So at the very end in this village is when Ogami comes out, and basically on his cart he reveals that he has weapons because they took his sword, because he's not allowed to have his sword as a prisoner. He basically unlocks this really big sword, and then he like takes the 2 ends, I think, and he like clicks them together and he makes a super sword, essentially.
Yeah.
Really long, big sword. And I was like, that's A, it was hidden, which is very cool. B, like, you've had this on you the whole time and you finally decide to use it, which is very smart. And then he just like executes a shit ton of people and
So
it
rad.
works and it's so good.
Yeah, for anyone listening who can't visualize it, it's almost like picture people that put together their own pool cue. How, just like twists in the middle kind of thing. So you can create your own pool stick. It's that kind of thing that he made. And then he was able to like click a button or something, and then this fucking like foot long blade
like whips out.
just comes out. It's like, oh dude, this is intense.
And he uses it to chop through somebody's legs. Like it's like right below the kneecaps, and he just it basically decapitates their legs. It's unreal.
Yeah, just like right through the shins. It's nuts. And before that though, like there's a handle that he pulls out and he throws at the guy who's like does the throwing knives. And he's like, cool, I got this here, so I'm gonna kill you real fast. And then I have these other like big handles where I'm gonna create this like huge weapon. That was such a cool scene. It was so awesome because throughout the whole movie, he's just this dude who's pushing this pram, basically.
Yeah.
Just like walking around. It's like, oh no, he was geared up the entire
ready
time.
at all times.
Yeah, we just had no idea, but he was ready to go. So,
pretty cool.
I don't know. So cool. For me specifically, it's like the shot right before they have sex. And it's kind of like a side profile shot, and it's like very high contrast. Like suddenly it's like
immaculate,
super dark, but like they're silhouetted with like white, I guess it'd be a stroke if it was like in Photoshop, you know what I mean? Like we kind of see them silhouetted against the black, just standing there facing each other. I mean, this whole sequence was just something else where he's like, no, I'll have sex with her. She's like, oh my God, like someone as awful as me. Like if you could put that aside and have sex, it's like, you're not unattractive. I don't understand what's happening here. It's like, she's like, oh, if you would like take the chance and like be man enough to have sex with me.
Person.
Yeah. Like I'm horrible. I can't believe you'd want to do that. It's like, all right. Like I don't
take one for the team. My guy Ogami.
But I do love though that like that's like how he lives. It's just like, all right, I'll have sex with her in front of all of you, and so we kind of see that there's all this crossfading and stuff, and then he just goes back to just like meditating. It's like, all right, cool, that's done. We're alive. I'm going back. So
that's that's my post-coital activity. I just always go straight to meditation.
Just up against the wall, just kneeling down, just meditating. Like, oh man. But I love that specific shot though, like the side profile, the two of them just looking at each other. I thought, man, this is like uncalled for beautiful right here, but this is just like, it's so good looking.
Yeah, I want more crossfades like that in more movies. I think that was really fun to watch. Really beautiful, really great stuff. I think there's a lot of cool moments in the movie, but I think as a whole, like it was just okay for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a lot of story and a lot of information and not a lot of like character involvement and like, really connecting at the core. So I think it was okay. Would this movie fit in the A24 catalog? Is there an A24 movie that is about a samurai? I don't think so.
Not that I can think of. No. That'd be pretty cool to see.
That'd be cool. I mean, we've been talking about anime a lot recently. Like something like this, kind of along those lines of like getting more into that world, I think would be cool.
Yeah, I think this could qualify. Like this feels like in step with the kind of stuff that they would do. I will say the child wasn't as much of an issue as I anticipated. Like it was very convenient that the kid just like, all right, I'm gonna go to sleep right now, and he's just
I'm
like,
gonna fall asleep on this bed.
Yeah, it's like, okay, and then like he gets to, like do all this other stuff. Like I not that I want it to become like this comedy of like, oh, you gotta like hold the kid while he's like doing all this fighting and stuff, but like it's never an issue for him. He was never like, oh shit, I gotta protect the kid and do all this stuff. It's just like, no, the kid's just gonna chill in the pram. Like it's fine,
We're
it's like,
good.
All right, I guess that's cool. I thought it would become a bigger issue. And then the one time that he has the kid on his back, like he uses it to his advantage, with the light reflection thing. So
yeah,
that was the one thing I was surprised about. It's like, I really thought this would be more about like, how do you literally balance like saving this little child's life while also fighting off all these other people? And that just never was an issue.
Yeah.
Right.
He really seems like a sidekick Pokemon, honestly, of like,
Yeah.
you're there when I need you, and other times like you can just chill, like you just be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think was really like a non-issue at all times. Didn't really even play. So it does make me curious for like the other 5 movies. Does this stay consistent? Like, is the kid just like there to like add a kid, or do we actually have some sort of story with this? Do we have a problem? Do things start to get a little bit dicey? Yeah, I'd be curious for sure. I agree with you. I think this would be like, is kind of I think this would be a good idea to like take and alter and make like a different movie with, like not in this like Lone Wolf and Cub vein, but like I don't know, Baby's Day Out meets Ninja, something like that.
Is there some sort of movie with The Rock where he has, or like Vin Diesel where he has like
The Pacifier? Bang.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
That's so terrible of me that I can recall that so fast.
I can like see the poster where I'm like, I don't remember what it is, but
yeah, I think it's called The Pacifier.
That tracks. That's like, I don't want it to be that, but I just thought that would come into play a little bit more. But you could totally see what influences Tarantino took from this kind of series.
Oh yeah.
Specifically just the blood and stuff like that. Like this was all, it's like, oh yeah, this is all Kill Bill. Like even some of the limbs that are getting chopped off and all that kind of stuff. It's like, all right, cool. This is, Tarantino has seen this and just like stored some stuff away for sure.
For sure. Big lack of feet in this movie, though, I will say.
Big lack of feet, yeah.
Yeah, I could have done with some more feet.
Yeah.
Next week on the Patreon pod, we are talking about the final film in our artificial intelligence series, The Creator. It will be out on IMAX screens starting September 29th. So we've been building to that. That's what we've been working towards, and we're finally going to do it. We're going to see it, which is really exciting. We have very fun stuff planned afterwards that we'll announce when we announce it. But it is also going up against Saw X, which I am actually seeing Saw X on Thursday, and I'll see The Creator after that. Where are you at on Saw, Ben? I feel like you've told me once or twice, but I completely forget.
I've seen the first one, and that's it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fine.
I think I enjoyed it. I don't remember seeing any of the other ones, but yeah. Sure. What would you recommend? Like 1 through 9, like do you have anything besides 1 that you'd recommend?
I mean, obviously 1 for sure. I think I'm doing a rewatch right now and I'm partway through 5. So Jigsaw is not good. Like the reboot is not good. A lot of the later ones not good. Saw 2, pretty good. And quite honestly, Saw 4. That's a hot take, but I like Saw 4. I think there's some really good Saw John Kramer lore in Saw 4. So I like the Saw franchise as a whole, which is why I'm seeing Saw X. Is it X? Like what? Like Fast X, right? It was Fast X. We're doing that now instead of 10.
I guess. I don't know.
Oof, okay.
We're not Roman. We're not saying.
I can't. You think about the Roman Empire, don't you?
All the time.
All the time. Good. Okay. Thank God. Yeah. So no, I'm pro Saw for sure. But yeah, The Creator is gonna be fun. Then we got a lot of other fun stuff coming on the Patreon. We'll tease it, but if you're here, stick around because it's gonna get really fun. Yeah,
we're gonna play the game. That's for sure. Let us know your thoughts on Lone Wolf and Cub, The Sword of Vengeance. We're on Twitter and Instagram at 24 minutes of A24, and don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can go watch us talk about all the A24 library. Thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon. We really appreciate it. I am Ben Lawhorn.
And I am Ethan Simi. I could never be a samurai.